This show is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code AFTV for 20% off your order and free shipping at manscaped.com. AFTV, Turkish in the building. Before we even go into it, how's the new one? How's the nipper going?
It's all good, Rob. I can't lie to you. It's a different sort of feeling, man. It's a different sort of feeling that not even Arsenal can take out of me. I can't lie to
you. So at 3-0, right? Did you go and pick the baby up and just say, you know what? I'll change the nappies. I'll feed the baby. I'll do anything just to get away from this team.
Listen, on God, Rob. On God, at 3-0, I turned to him and I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Because right now, I can't see a light at the end of this tunnel, Rob. You know, I still can't see the light. I know today's performance is a tale of two halves and we are through in the Europa League. But the last 2 weeks have been in stark contrast. You know, a 3-1 Olympiacos win followed by a 2-1 North London derby win. All looks good and well. Then you couple that up with a 1-0 home loss to Olympiacos and also a 3-3 with West Ham having been 3-0 down in the first 30 minutes. It brings us back to earth a little bit. You know, the reality that there's a lot of work to be done is still there.
How do you view the game? Do you view it and say to yourself, magnificent comeback? Because it's one of those games where, what's that phrase where they say your glass is half empty or your glass is half full? It's like that, isn't it? Because you can look on it and say horrific, complacent defending and shocking play. Or you can look on it and say, well, under the cosh, but fighting spirit, great comeback, great character. How do you view it?
Both ways, Rob. That's the only way we can view it, I think. You know, we can't get carried away with the comeback and act like, you know, that first 30 minutes didn't happen. But at the same time, you can take something from that comeback and say, you know what, it's against a good West Ham team, a good manager in Moyes, who this season they've been a lot more consistent than we've been, as the league table shows. So I think we can look at it both ways, and we should look at it both ways, because I think the fight we showed today, it was admirable, to say the least, because like I said, this wasn't a Burnley and this wasn't a West Brom. This was West Ham, who are there fighting for top four. 3-0 down to them. We've seen Arsenal heads drop before in the past, being in those positions, and that's why they deserve credit for it. But to be in that situation in the first place, Rob, it speaks volumes. You know, no one expected it. Defensively this season, we've been pretty good overall. You know, I think there are still problems, but to be 3-0 down in the first 30 minutes,
that was the crazy thing, because you are right. When I look at us defensively this season, I'm like, there's been a lot of improvement, but there's still sloppy mistakes. Yeah. And a lot of games like, you know, that game we had the other day with Villa, when we went 1-0 down, and after that, it defended all right, but you've made that stupid mistake. But this game was sort of reminding me of the old days.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, this could get embarrassing. This could be like 5-6 if we're not careful. It could be like going back to those days. But something, I mean, does it show that they're playing for the manager, that they were really determined after that to salvage something from the game?
Yeah, I think that's what I'll take from the reaction. It showed me that, listen, that first half an hour, we as fans were embarrassed, but I think they were embarrassed as well. And they showed that with the remaining 60 minutes. I think they realized, listen, we've put ourselves in a messed up situation right now. They know what's going to come around the corner if we take that L, especially in those circumstances. And they put their heads on correctly and got the job done. I say job done. We didn't win the game, but we took something from it. You know, and at a point in that game, it didn't look like there was anything to take from it, but more criticism of Arteta, team selection, and players. But in the end, we can talk about some positives. And Odegaard, for me today, quality. You know, a cut above the rest. And I think him, Chambers is another one today that done very well. He got 2 assists, but he could have got a few more. To be honest, he was putting in ball
great balls in, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when we don't get that often from the right back position, you know, it's always been a debate, that right back slot. So it was good to see Chambers do some bits there. Not to say I see him as the long-term successor, but it's good that some of the fringe players are getting minutes and performing, because the work to be done in the summer, I always go back to that, Rob. The work to be done in the summer, we need to hold on to value of some of these players and make sure we get that value.
Well, when you talk about work to be done in the summer, and you just spoke about one player there, he's currently here on loan. Yeah. For me, since he's come, I've been impressed with him literally every game.
Yeah.
And that's Odegaard. I've been impressed with him on the ball. I've been impressed with him when he doesn't have the ball. He's pressing, his energy. I'm looking at him, I'm like, this kid's only 22. That's the type of player Arsenal need to buy. That's the sort of player that in 3 years' time will be better than he is now.
Yeah.
And I guess when you always harking on about this, when you talk about what you're going to be looking for in the summer, surely Arsenal got to be going all in to try and get him away from Real Madrid.
I'd agree, Rob. You know, you mentioned his qualities on the pitch, and I just want to add on top of that mentally he seems a cut above the rest too. He just got handed captaincy of Norway. He's 22 years of age. He's come here after, you know, being lauded as the next big thing, having a couple of years where it hasn't gone as planned, and, you know, coming to Arsenal off the back of a inconsistent Real Madrid season. It wasn't the best of conditions for him. Coming from Real and coming into this Arsenal team, it wasn't the greatest, you know, conditions, but he's managed to step up. He's showed his quality. And I think that all comes down to his head, his mental, his character. You know, I think at Arsenal, we've had a problem in that department as well as quality. And sometimes players have the quality, but they don't have that mental approach to a game that maybe look at Pepe, for example, who's taken a bit longer to, you know, hit the ground running. You know, it's taken him a lot longer. Odegaard has hit the ground running. I think that comes down to a lot of the character and mental ability of Odegaard at such a young age. And I think what he's done so far, let him continue it. Europa League is our best bet this season for any hope success. Regardless of that, we've seen what Odegaard brings to this side. And it wasn't too long ago from November, December, when we was failing to create chances in every single game, getting battered, to having Emil Smith-Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, a good three behind the strikers. I think that should be done in the first 2-3 weeks of the window. Either we sign him or he goes back because Real don't want him. That's the proactivity I'd like to see from this club. Get it done or send him back, one way or another. Maybe even a loan with an option to buy next year, I'd be happy with.
It's what it's like to me. It's like the old mafia thing, isn't it? Making them an offer they can't refuse, because that, you know, but they've got, to me, he seems already to fit everything. He's what we need. His attitude seems right, and he seems at home at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, you can see that he's loving Arsenal, and Arsenal are loving him.
Yeah.
Whereas he might go back to Madrid. Yeah, they've still got, even though I know some of those players are aging, but they've still got such quality players in that midfield. He might not start. I don't think he'll start every week. Whereas at Arsenal, I think if this guy's fit, he would start every week at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think that's something we can offer over Real, you know, a bit more consistency. I'm surprised he hasn't got more consistency at Real, considering the way they've been this season and over the last couple. But like you said, make an offer that they can't and he can't refuse. I think with Odegaard, it's easier. Game time, responsibility, you get that in abundance at Arsenal. With Real, the negotiations, I'd step up to the 40 million mark and try get it done and dusted early on. I think it's about time we kind of, you know, stamp some sort of authority. Yeah. And it's all good and well nicking a player off Lille, but if you can take one off a Real Madrid and flex a bit, that goes a long way to showing that you are ambitious as a football club.
100%. Turkish, thank you very much, mate.
No worries, Rob. Love.